Episode 7, Foundment 1. The area suddenly fell silent. Everyone didn't understand what the king was saying. The king did not think that his words would shock everyone, and Takuto began to regret his own words. It is said that, after talking with other people, a person with communication disorders will regret the words that he has spoken. Therefore, Takuto profoundly regrets what he said. Takuto-sama? Takuto is silent. Instead, he wanted all people to leave him alone, but Atu won't do that. He had to confirm the true meaning of his statement. He also had to establish the direction of the next negotiations. Atu, who heard the words beyond her expectations, was shocked. She hurriedly gave instructions to Mortar Elders group. Wait. I will ask what my king wants. You guys wait there. Don't make any unnecessary guesses. While seeing Atu come with a frustrated expression, Takuto is already in the mood to reset the game. He stumbled from the start, so he wanted to reset it. Back then, he could do it many times, but unfortunately, this world was different from a game. What do you mean? No, I wonder if I should make them citizens. Please don't be too surprised, they might notice. Sorry for interrupting your conversation. No, that's fine. But their attributes are neutral? Takuto put his hand on his chin. He had experienced it before. It was strange, but when he saw Atu's shocked expression, his heart was able to calm down again. How should he do this? Various theories swiftly formed in his brain. He had confidence that the plan he had in mind would surely succeed. While looking at his reflection in Atu's worried eyes, Takuto started explaining like he was talking to a child. I'm thinking of accepting them as refugees. Systematically it's possible, isn't it? Yes. But in that case, there might be a problem between the Dark Elves and the primary race of Mynoghra, Homonculus. Various races are usually assigned to the civilization of eternal nations, human, elf, dwarf, demons, etc. Each of these races has its different orientations and characteristics. It adds color to the game. The elements like immigrants and refugees are one of the aspects that made the games keep evolving. Complexity is also the attraction of the game. Of course, there is a rivalry between race in Mynoghra. There is a mysterious race called Homonculus, which have an even worse characteristic than their name. Atu, try to remember clearly the Homonculus. Takuto patiently advised Atu, who was still a little confused, so that she calmed down. Calm back because she trusts in Takuto's words. She opened her memory about the homunculus, and suddenly her face turned pale. This distinctive race has very perky qualities, but if the player assemble his strategy well, it will be advantageous and powerful. However, since they have played in various scenarios, assuming that they will be created with magic production in the future, it will not be too difficult to build their strategy later. But there was another problem. Atu remembers, Homunculus's appearance is gruesome. The point where Takuto briefly pointed was the long leg bug hiding behind the Dark Elves. The perky eyes stared back at them. Atu remembered a human figure with torn and perky eyes like a scout of the early Mynoghra race. And she remembered that strange, fragile shape. Certainly, Homunculus was said as an imitation, that imitates human beings. It may be very unpleasant being for others. Characters that were game-like in this world are represented in actual shape. It is natural because it is a reality. Still, it is difficult to predict the effect it will have on Takuto and Atu's spirits. At the very least, Takuto was worried that it would be bad for Atu's mental health if she had to run a country that was only filled with ugly creatures. And there are benefits to having dark elves as citizens. I used to always worry about the inefficient operation of intellectual production facilities, but they can solve the problem of research speed. The characteristics of Mynoghra as a nation are: Homonculus that I use have high production capacity and fertility, less penalty for happiness, and hygiene. Another specialty is its brute force production that ignores explosive expansion and pollution. On the other hand, the negative compensation is that their research power is low. The disadvantage is the reason why Mynoghra is always behind other countries in developing new technologies. However, the story changes if we can invite this pitiful dark elves into the nation. We can eliminate the disadvantage of the research field. Of course, if they had enough magic power, they could also use Takuto's ability to create homunculus. It is possible to secure high fertility and productivity, just like their original intention. If you think in the term of the right person in the right place, it's a good decision to invite them. In a regular game, the evil attribute of Mynoghra was a problem. It was challenging to accept immigrants and other races. If you think of this as an event, it would belong to the lucky event category. Well, there are merits in the public management, but more than that, isn't having a race that capable of having a civilized conversation is crucial to the great Mynoghra? I mean, my character might not be able to. What a coincidence. I was thinking the same thing, although the idea seemed crazy at first. After discussing it with Atu, it turned out that his opinion matched. From the start, there was no mistake in Takuto's strategy. However, due to poor communication skills, the first time people who hear it may be surprised. Although in reality, it is not yet known what will happen later. But can they serve as good citizens? We don't know, unless we try it. There may be game-like bindings, but I don't think it'll bother them, as long as they have a certain level of happiness. Is this world a game? I feel a little different from that. Atu had absolute faith in Takuto's words. If the king decides so, then it will be. But they still don't know this world. How much difference is also unknown. Atu worries that the differences will create big problems. Well, maybe everything will be okay later. Besides that, we will get a lot of information from them. For now, we need to solve the problem that lies in front of our eyes. Atu, do you agree? There are many uncertainties, but I can't decide. I'm sorry. Takuto thought Atu's attitude was game-like for a moment. Although she fully understands Takuto's intention and acts, she becomes very indecisive to decide something. She may not wish to be like that. Takuto felt that there was some disturbance in her decision-making ability, which made her feel uneasy. But he didn't want to talk about it, because it didn't matter to him in the first place. As long as Atu is by his side, everything will be fine. On the other hand, for Atu, she was satisfied, as long as Takuto was around. It's okay, don't apologize. I am the king, and you are my subordinate. I am the one who decides. Let's welcome them as citizens of our new nation. If you say so, then my worry disappears. Then your orders will be conveyed to them. Is it okay for me to tell them? From her attitude, you could sense a tint of shame at her unworthiness. Takudo did not want her to take such an attitude, but he can't speak words well, so he tries his best to smile. It was an expression of dearness, that directed only to her, of course. Who else can do it? Thanks, leave it to me, my king. Eventually, the conversation between the two ended, and Atu turned to the dark elves. They have no idea what kind of conversation they were having. All they can do is wait anxiously for Atu to explain the king's thoughts. The king's words just now are all conveyed to me. Oh, Atu. About the king's words, please teach us. Please teach these fools to understand his thoughts. The king is planning to start a country. If you are willing to be its citizens, then his compassion and power will protect all of you. The old Mordors who heard Atu's words were amazed by the sudden proposal. For the negotiations with the King of Destruction, they had simulated various possibilities and responses. Still, in the end, the king's words went a step further. The king's eyes see everything. The situation you are in, he has shown his compassion for you, nothing more, nothing less than that. Atu said the sentence precisely and sharply. Her attitude is like asserting that it has no further meaning. It was a warning not to ask any more questions. Elder Mordor and the Dark Elves were confused and desperately wondering how to respond to the king's sudden words. The great king's boundless forgiveness, I was so touched that my chest trembled. Ah, pardon my rudeness, if we become citizens of your kingdom, what will happen to us? I would like to say eternal happiness is promised. But that isn't what you want to know, right? Well, in short, it becomes you will become evil. Their mouths drop open. Too straightforward and too natural to say. The meaning can be fully understood. The Dark Elves know what Atu means. However, all of this was too sudden and serious. Yes, Elder Mordor turned his eyes to the king, and the king is also naturally look back at him. On the contrary, he seems to be deeply convinced, while nodding his head. As a wise old man who lived for 200 years, when someone suddenly asked him to be evil, of course, he wouldn't just agree. Of course, maybe I should go into a little more detail, but now you all have no obligation to do that. Atu dared to minimize the explanation. Because they are not yet their citizens and she may refuse them. Too many words may add more worries. Also, a foolish move is meaningless. First of all, the king, Takudo, had said he would invite them to become his citizens. They just need to agree. While crying and trembling, Atu thought that no additional explanation was needed. You decide. I won't say anything in particular. Whichever you choose, it's your destiny. Maybe the Dark Elves have forgotten what fate means, because at this point, whether they live or die, depends on their response on this very moment. Although from nation management aspect bringing them in may arise some conflicts. But as long as Takudo is with her, there will be no problems. Her trust is absolute. However, the fact that his king shows some interest in something is essential to her. If things go in the right direction, then it is for the best. So, she gently placed her hand on her lips, looking towards tomorrow, while giving it a little thought. If I just had to add my personal opinion, this site is also fun. She smiled softly and mysteriously. The Eterpedia or translator note is on this video description. Please like or subscribe. Thank you.